Hello, Lisa here with Upside Down Pilates and Nourishment. Woo! We're live again today. Sorry about last week. I was actually working with my teacher in New York, and it was quite a long week working with her in the morning and then teaching and working with clients in the afternoon. And I was a little tired, so I gave you another workout so I could take a break there. So again, I am Lisa Orrig. I'm the owner of Upside Down Pilates and Nourishment and the creator of the Joint Pain Eliminator program. And this is where I help women eliminate joint pain so they can get back to living the life that they love. Today, we're going to look at probiotic foods versus commercial probiotics. And we're going to look at how they benefit those who have joint pain, along with everyone else, but definitely those people that suffer with joint pain. These things are so important. And we're going to look at kind of the pros and cons of both of these different ways of getting your probiotics. So this is part of my phase 3 in the Joint Pain Eliminator program, where we start to take action on the things that we need to work on to help eliminate our joint pain. All right, don't forget to get updates and know when I'm going live, and when we have new content coming up, you want to subscribe and then hit the bell. You can also connect with me on Instagram, and you want to go to my business account, which is Lisa_Orrig_upside down. And then I also have a Facebook page. It's Upside Down Pilates and Nourishment with Lisa Orrig. All right, so we're up on there as well. To get some more contact, we can talk back and forth a little bit easier on those platforms. All right, so let's just imagine, wouldn't it be fantastic here if you had this strong, resilient immune system that didn't overreact to your joints? I know you're like, wait, my immune system's overreacting to my joints? Yes, this is what I've been talking about. It causes joint pain. So remember, when we have a leaky gut or a gut dysbiosis, things get through our intestinal tract into our joints, and they'll deposit in our joints. So we might have different toxins, heavy metals, lipopolysaccharides, weird other things depositing in our joints, and then our body tags them and starts attacking them, creating joint pain. The other thing that will happen is molecular mimicry. This is when our immune system gets confused because you have all this bad stuff going that in our system, in our bloodstream, that shouldn't be there. And it'll get confused between our own body tissues and the proteins of whatever's getting through that shouldn't be getting through, like nightshade plants. So that's why people with rheumatoid arthritis shouldn't eat nightshade plants or anything with solanine in it, because it will cause their joints to explode because their immune system gets those two kinds of proteins confused. Another big problem that I didn't really talk about much on this channel is candida. So candida is like a fungus, and it will actually get into our muscle tissues and joints and cause like contractures. So if you have like a finger that when you wake up in the morning, or even a whole hand, when your candida gets overgrown, it'll cause these contractures in your hands and your feet and just overall achiness. So these are all things that can be dealt with using probiotics and probiotic foods by helping to balance out the overgrowth if it's a yeast, or to help balance the intestinal lining by having the good bacteria outcompete the bad bacteria, and then the intestinal lining can close up and those things can't get through into your bloodstream and set off your immune system. All right, so just imagine how good that would feel if your immune system wasn't freaking out all the time because your microbiome is a little bit dysbiotic, or a lot dysbiotic. So today we're going to learn about probiotics, and then how these probiotics that we're talking about, both foods and then also commercial probiotics, can help keep you pain-free by balancing out your microbiome, overall your whole body, okay? All right, so firstly, let's talk about what are probiotic foods. Probiotic foods are lacto-fermented foods. So these are foods that have been fermented, And the lacto fermented without vinegar and not under pressure over a long period of time. So something like sauerkraut. Sauerkraut is very simple to make, and you leave it for 2 weeks on the counter or in a area in a cupboard or something like that, and then it's amazing, delicious, full of all sorts of wonderful things. So the lacto and lacto fermentation doesn't have anything to do with dairy. It stands for lactic acid, and that's produced by our beneficial bacteria called lactobacilli. So lacto fermented foods have lots of lactobacilli in it because that is what makes the food ferment. Okay, so a lactoferment is a food or a beverage that is fermented by lactic acid producing bacteria. So that's how you know it has lots of good bacteria, because lactobacillus is one of our really good bacteria. And for women, it should dominate our vaginal microbiome. So you got to have it all over the rest of your body if you want to make sure that it's dominating your vaginal microbiome as well. Okay, so what are some of the benefits of probiotic foods? Well, they're inexpensive. They're super easy to make. It helps to kick on digestion by increasing HCl. So HCl is stomach acid. And when you eat or drink fermented foods or like sauerkraut juice or beet kvass, it helps to increase your stomach acid, and that helps kill off bad bugs that shouldn't be getting through into your digestive tract. It kicks off your whole digestion, all right? And it also helps to aid in the digestion of protein and fats, all right? It contributes additional enzymes to the digestion process to help you digest your food better, which then you get more nutrition. And if you have a digestion process, these are the best things to start adding into your diet right away. It increases vitamin levels, including vitamin C, K, and B. So sauerkraut is loaded with C, K, and B, and then also the unknown U, which helps heal ulcers inside of our colon, inside of our stomach, all the way through there. Okay. It produces natural antibiotics and anti-carcinogenic substances. It helps the body maintain regular blood pressure and heart rate. So if you have high blood pressure, it's a really good idea to start getting probiotic foods into your diet. It helps to break down fats in the liver. It helps to maintain a healthy level of acidification in the digestive tract. So you want enough acid there to digest your foods, and then keep the little valve closed so you don't have acid reflux. If it drops too low, then a little valve opens up, and then your food and other acids start to bubble up, and you get what's called heartburn. So it helps with that. It promotes growth of healthy bacteria throughout your entire intestinal tract. It produces feel-good substance in the gut, like your serotonin and your dopamine. You didn't know that came from your gut first. Yes, it does. It boosts immunity. Yes, yes, yes. Decreases levels of pathogenic bacteria. So when you decrease the levels of pathogenic bacteria by increasing the levels of good bacteria, it's going to decrease all of those toxins. And it's going to help clean up our gut-brain axis through our vagus nerve. So our brain is more clear and more happy when our gut is more clear and more happy. And those things go back and forth. And those are very important for us. Yeah, we want to be happy people. All right. Now, something to remember. So I was talking about homemade probiotic foods. All right. Store-bought ferments are not as powerful as homemade. They're just not. And let me tell you why. Mostly are highly or lightly pasteurized at least, and it gives them a longer shelf life. And this kills off the good bacteria. So you cannot have pasteurization going on if you want to get good bacteria from our probiotic foods. All right. Most are made out of conventional rather than organic products. Heavens to Betsy's, that's going to be covered in glyphosate, which is an antibiotic, so it's going to kill all the good bugs off anyways, or at least significantly decrease them. Most of the ones that you buy at the store are not fermented very long, so it leaves them less potent. They're just not fermented long enough. Your dairy needs to be fermented at least 24 hours, and there's different ranges for the juices versus the vegetables in fermented foods. But like my sauerkraut, I like to leave it a good 2 weeks before I go ahead and put it in the fridge and start eating it, if not longer. And they're not going to do that when they're making it for the store. They're going to do it in as short time as possible to get it out on the shelves. And the other thing is you have control over what you're putting in your ferments when you make them yourself. And you can use a variety of different starters to make your ferments more diverse for your microbiome. So you are constantly getting good, different kinds of bacteria to help to diversify your microbiome. And they come with their own prebiotic fibers. And the trick with this is when we're starting to introduce some probiotics or some good bacteria, if we have a lot of bad bacteria, there's something called die-off. And this controls the amount of good prebiotic fibers that we need to start getting those microbes to grow properly in our gut. So it has some prebiotic fibers already in there, but are partially pre-digested. So it makes you be able to tolerate it better. And if you're going through the GAPS nutritional protocol, like if you're working with me and we're going through GAPS, you need to start very slowly with these prebiotic fibers. So you're going to get it that way in your fermented foods. It's really fantastic. So giving you an idea of what I have on a daily basis. I do 4 ounces of beet kvass. So 4 ounces of kvass and 4 ounces of water, and I drink it. That's an 8-ounce drink of probiotic deliciousness. It also helps to keep your stools regular because it's beets, all right? Then I also do 4 ounces of garlic tonic. So that's basically fermented garlic. I think it is absolutely delicious. You do 4 ounces of garlic tonic and 4 ounces of garlic water. And that also, garlic is very antimicrobial. So if you've got some stuff growing that you don't want in there, start chugging it. If you've got a cold, some sort of crazy virus going around, start chugging it. It's going to help you be able to get rid of it. All right. Then I also do a half cup of fermented veggies with each meal that I do. I'm sorry, a quarter cup of fermented veggies with each meal that I do. So that's in addition to the kvass and the garlic tonic. And then each day I have between a half to 1 cup of kefir. That is all homemade. All right. So I've got beet, kvass, garlic tonic, fermented veggies. So it could be sauerkraut. I like to make vegetable medley, all sorts of different kinds of veggies. I love them fermented. And then I eat it just like a salad. It's delicious. And then my kefir. Love my kefir. All right. So those are, don't forget to put questions or anything in the chat if you have them. So those are probiotic foods, hugely beneficial for those with joint pain. If you've got joint pain, start chugging them and go for my daily amount of intake as time goes on. So now we're going to talk about commercial probiotics. So these are supplements that you can purchase. I don't have any over here with me, but they're supplements you can purchase that have the good bacteria in little capsules. All right. So these can be very powerful and very helpful. And I also take these with every meal. Here are some of the good and bad versus probiotic foods or commercial probiotics. So commercial probiotics, some of the good things is they'll often have scientific journal articles supporting their efficacy. So you can actually go and read what the testing has said about these different types of probiotics. One of the types of probiotics I like is Microbiome Labs. They're, why am I blanking here? Megaspore. All right. I take that every day and have since like 2015. I love it. There's scientific articles that they have showing the studies that they've done. One of the studies they did is they fed, I believe it was college kids, McDonald's, and they did blood serum testing for lipopolysaccharides. So lipopolysaccharides are, again, the bad toxins from bad bugs. And they did it before and after the meal, and they compared it those who had taken Megaspore and not taken Megaspore. I think this is might not all be completely correct in everything that they did, but that's the basics of the test. And they found that those who had taken the Megaspore had 50% less lipopolysaccharides in their blood than those who had not taken the Megaspore. So it cut the LPS, these bad, horrible toxins, in half just by taking the Megaspore. That's huge, you guys. That's huge. So you can find some scientific journal articles supporting their efficacy a lot of the times. You can target specific strains. So if you know that there's one thing going on that's not working for you in your gut, like you're missing lactobacillus or something like that, you can target that strain and take that strain and know that you're getting that. They can also be extraordinarily potent. So they're not something to mess around with, but they can be very helpful if you're trying to, bring your health back to life and rebuild your balance in your microbiome. Some of the downsides that I want to share with you to think about is they are heavily processed. So it's a processed food, right? It's the probiotic foods that you make. They're real food, but this is a processed type of thing. So you have to remember that. They don't populate your mouth, your throat, or your esophagus if you take it in the capsule form. So one of the things that you can do is empty the capsule into your mouth. Like I like to take Biocolt out, put it in my mouth at night before I go to sleep to help keep my mouth nice and clean. But you can also very easily just open the capsule and put it in your kefir and eat it with your kefir. So then you're getting probiotic kefir and the other probiotics to really help rebuild you. All right. It's a new thing, right? This is new to humanity. It's not that new. They've been around like 10, 15 years now, but relatively speaking, it's new. So that's something always to remember. When something is new, you never quite know what's going to be going on there. So they have to live past the stomach acid. So this is one of the problems that they also have with probiotic foods is if your stomach acid is where it should be, some people say that the probiotics won't get through the stomach acid and the stomach acid will kill off those probiotics. So in those cases where we think that might be happening, or some people think it always happens, that's why we do what we talked about last week is the probiotic implants, where you bring it in the other way to make sure that it gets in there and starts repopulating from the other end as well. So some people say that some of these won't get through the stomach acid. In my experience, whatever they do is helpful. So if neither one of these things get through the stomach acid, getting into the mouth and the esophagus and all the way down is very helpful. All right. I think it does, but still we'll have to see here. Do they seed the gut or just pass through? So some people think that the probiotics won't seed the gut and it just kind of passes through. Again, this is one of these things you can see if you feel benefit when you do them. Some people say, yes, they help to seed the gut. Other people say they'll help while they're in your system. That's why you have to keep taking them, especially if you've been really damaged by pharmaceuticals, antibiotics, those types of things. Glyphosate. Some of the probiotics you have to be very careful because they have many fillers that are bad for our health. All right. And then you also want to make sure that you take the right kind at the right time of your life. So if you're in a situation where you can't handle prebiotic fibers, you got to make sure that your probiotics don't already have prebiotic fibers in there with them. Otherwise, it could be a disaster. So these are all the little tricks. All right. So probiotics that I use on a daily basis. Megaspore, like I said, Restore Flora, HU58, and Biocolt. All right, these are all ones I take a set of probiotics with every single meal, along with my fermented foods with every single meal. But you have to remember, my microbiome was destroyed by my doctors. So the amount of antibiotics I got as a baby and then all the way growing up just completely obliterated my microbiome. So it may be one of these things for me to stay healthy. I have to keep taking them the rest of my life because it's just been so obliterated. All right. Everyone's going to be a little bit different is what I'm trying to say. All right. Which is better, probiotic foods or commercial probiotics? Well, what's most important is you're going to use the one that you will do and the one that you can afford. So if you're on a budget, I would say make your own probiotic foods and start with that because they are very, very powerful. All right. But in reality, if you're suffering from joint pain, you got to do both. I've worked with so many people, and unless you get on the broth and the probiotic foods and probiotic bandwagon, I just don't see you having a heck of a chance of recovering. And it may take a long time and a lot of probiotics. All right. So both. So I recommend a probiotic supplement and fermented food with each meal, and that is what I do. My clients that I work with actually do best when they add in homemade fermented foods with each meal and a probiotic supplement with each meal. And that needs to be built up slowly over time, but huge changes and differences in their entire body, but especially in their joint pain level. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about what die-off is. Die-off, or Herxheimer's reaction, is considered a healing response to some supplements or medications. So what happens is pathogens die, or the body starts to pull the heavy metals from its tissues. There may be unpleasant side effects. They could be headaches, they could be anxiety, bowel disturbances, rashes, joint pain, and so on. Any aggravation to your health complaints could be a die-off reaction. So when we're adding in our probiotics and probiotic foods, we need to do a rebalancing act. And like I said before, even with exercise, too much, too fast. You do too much, too fast, and you're going to screw it all up. You got to go slow and steady, slow and steady, slow and steady. So you've got to do what I call self-titration. All right, self-titration for, let's say we're going to start with sauerkraut because it's easy to make, cheap, lasts forever. You start with 1 teaspoon of fermented cabbage juice. You don't even start eating the vegetables. No, that's way too much. 1 teaspoon of fermented cabbage juice. You take that teaspoon a little bit before you eat your meal and see how you do. If you start to have problems, you get a headache, you get some crazy rash, your eczema acts up, you get diarrhea explosion, anything, your hand swells up from joint pain, that was die-off from your cabbage juice. And you think, that can't possibly be. Oh, yes, it can. So you want to start with that 1 teaspoon and slowly build up until you can tolerate a 1/4 cup of that juice before each meal. And that's going to raise your stomach acid and make your whole digestion so much better. All right. So that's how you do the self-titration with our fermented cabbage juice. Once you get up to a 1/4 cup of the juice, then you can start adding in the vegetables if you like. All right. And then you would start with 1 teaspoon until you get to that 1/4 cup. All right. So here's, for this week, what you're going to do is you're going to leave a comment below and let me know if you want me to do a video on how to make some fermented foods and then which food you want me to show you. And if there's some comments and votes, I will do live in my kitchen next week making some sort of fermented food that you pick. So we could do beet kvass, delicious. We could do garlic tonic, delicious. Sauerkraut, delicious. Kefir, delicious. Or vegetable medley, all right, delicious. So let me know if you want me to make a video of those live next Thursday, and I will do that and put it in the comments or in the chat right now. All right, so that's all I've got for you for the probiotic foods versus the commercial probiotics. Yes, as much as you can. If you're still with me, I'm going to answer those questions now. So I have a ton of questions to answer, and I will go as quickly as I can here because I've got to get on my merry way today too. So first question is from Theon, I think is how you say it. When is the best time to take probiotics? Every meal. So one of the things you want to look at on if you're talking about probiotic, the commercial probiotics like you get in a bottle, you want to see what the bottle says. So some of them you need to take with food, and some of them recommend taking before food. So BioCult, which is one that I like, you take in the morning before you eat anything. Megaspore, you take with the meal. So a lot of the spore-based probiotics, which is a different kind of probiotic than the strains in BioCult, it needs food to eat so that they live. All right. So what you want to do is read the bottle, but like BioCult, you want to do it on empty stomach, and then the spores you want to do with food. But I actually also put the BioCult inside of my kefir, and I think it works just fine too. So, but it should say on the bottle if it should be with or without food, and the best time is all day long. Just keep pounding them. I think this Nira says, is it Naira? Nira? I'm not sure. Sorry. Is it necessary to take a probiotic supplement after a coffee enema? So coffee enemas, depending on how often you do them, can be a bit depleting. And so this is something that you want to keep track of is your potassium, sodium, magnesium, and calcium levels. So you want to make sure that you're drinking plenty of broth, and if you can do juice, like fresh juicing, not of fruits, but of vegetables to help keep those minerals in balance. As for probiotic supplementation, if you're in a situation that you feel that you're doing coffee enemas and it's beneficial for your health, yes, I highly recommend doing probiotics all day long. So, and taking it after the coffee enema is going to be great. But you could do it before the coffee enema because it's still going to get through everything. And the coffee enema just helps to cleanse out your liver and all the other, your stool and everything like that. But it's definitely a good thing to incorporate, especially if you're in a situation that you're finding coffee enemas beneficial to you. Absolutely. This will be even more beneficial. Okay. And actually, I think this is the same person. Naira or Nira just asked, please show how to ferment fruit like mangoes. I actually won't do that because I think it's a great thing. And fermented green papaya is my husband's from Filipino, so that's a very popular thing in the Philippines is fermented papaya. But I don't recommend people using that as their way of getting fermented food because it has too much sugar. It also can very quickly turn into alcohol. So you got to be careful with how much sugar is in it. So I won't show that one. I am so sorry, darling. But it is something that you can do. You just can't, you got to be careful that it doesn't turn into alcohol real quickly. But that's not what I would consider or recommend for health building. It is something that it can be delicious though. Okay. Next question. John says, it seems unknown to me. My girlfriend has also been looking into enemas for health and coffee enemas with added essential oils. She was a nurse, so she has some experience with it. And he said he was stuck and able to start, but then she helped him, but he had to do a cleansing enema first. Okay, good. I recommend 2 cleansing enemas minimum before you do your coffee enema, because if you have a lot of stool in there, it's going to be hard for you to retain the coffee enema. As for, he says, afterwards, I felt very light and energized. Fantastic. Now, as for essential oils, you've got to be careful with those essential oils. It's not something that I recommend doing unless you're trying to do a pathogen cleanse and then know what you're doing. All right. So different essential oils can actually burn things in there. So especially with the water. So just be very careful with the essential oils. Make sure you're working with someone who knows what they're doing and use the right amount and the right kind. It's not something that I do, okay? It also, yeah, that's what I would say about essential oils in your enemas. But you work on that on your own, but that's not something that I do or recommend. And then John says that doing this more than once a month isn't something that he thinks he can do. Yes, some people, you got to go at your own tempo, right? You got to, if once a week is good for you, once a month is good for you, you don't ever want to do it, that's fine, right? But they are very cleansing for your liver and can be very helpful. All right, here's a comment from Suali. I believe this was on the sacroiliac joint pain Eliminator workout, the next level part 1. He or she says, I love this class. Thank you. I'm glad that I could be helpful to you and that you enjoyed it. Suchi says, and this is on, I think last week, one of last week's joint pain eliminator workouts. Thank you for sharing amazing exercise videos. Looking forward to having class with you soon. Me too. Thank you, Suchi, so much. I'm glad you're enjoying that. And then I think this is S. Vignali. I don't know if I said it right. Thanks, Lisa, for sharing amazing exercise videos. Oh, wait. No, that's the wrong one. I don't know. I copied the wrong one down. I'm so sorry. Let me see if I can find it here. Oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. I'm so sorry. I'll answer in your in your message. But that's it. That's all I've got today. So sorry, kids. All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to like the video. You can subscribe to the channel. And in the comments below, you're going to let me know what you want me to make next week. All right. We've got beet kvass. We've got garlic tonic. We've got sauerkraut. We've got vegetable medley. We've got kefir. You got 5 options. Let me know what you want me to make next week. You can download underneath the description here. You can download the Ultimate Joint Pain Eliminator Starter Kit. There's a lot of recipes in there. There's some workouts in there. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there that will help you get started. You can look at my Joint Pain Eliminator program and see if working together might be right for you. You can schedule a call with me. In there, there's a little link to book a call, and you can book a call with me, and we can see if we might work well together in helping you eliminate your joint pain and probably whatever other stuff you have going on. All right? So don't forget to let me know what you want me to make next week. And I guess we're going to be cooking live with Lisa next week, Thursday at 1. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. You have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next week. Aloha.